and welcome to a Week 5 pre-IEM edition of the PostGame Lobby, where I am joined by Sjokz as well as Splyce's Sencux to look back at the week that was, as well as to look ahead to the competition that is still to come. And there are two matches that I really want to highlight from this week. The first one was kind of our poster match on day one, G2 versus UOL. At that point, the two teams were still undefeated in the second week of a cross-group play, but it was not a very competitive match.
No, G2 looking very, very strong coming out in the first game. Just kind of took it to the Unicorns. The Unicorns tried to fight, could never find their footing, and I don't think any of us expected just how game 2 went.
I mean, this game should have definitely been in UOL's favor. They got a lead early, as far as I remember, and then they should have won the game here, but they chose to go in their base and get rumbled on 4 people and just throw it.
It was a one game. Unicorns.
It's a UOL move.
Yeah, it's a
It needs to be a bit excitement.
Well, it was exciting, but unfortunately for G2 it was. There you see, they realized here that they messed up. And G2 will close that one out, and in the end, win 2-0, and that's, for the Unicorns of Love, that's really something to hit yourself over the head over, because you're taking on the leaders of the other group. What a difference it would have made if they could have gone to game 3. Sencux, Unicorns of Love, they were in the lead, of course, in that group. Now they are sharing it with H2K. Do you think their kind of power and strength that they had in the beginning of the split is dwindling a bit?
I mean, as far as I remember, they were starting scrimming a bit before everybody else, but obviously that should be a good part, and it's definitely stronger for the start of the split. And I think a team like H2K that has a lot of potential but had to bring in 2 Koreans, I think they can grow a lot more than UOL can. And I think by the end of the split, I think H2K should be a better team. And I'll say right, as we play at the moment, they should be the best team of Group B.
Of Group B, you mentioned it there, you guys are not feeling the best just yet. You're still ramping up, and you guys played Fnatic on day 1, a best of 3, and it went all the way to 3 games. And Crepo said here on the desk yesterday, or today even, you know, Splyce could have just as easily lost it, and I think you guys share that sentiment.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't a dominating fashion. The first game, they really stormed us, and the 2 next game were long games that we just tried to play out later in the game, because I still think they have a lot of troubles in the later stages of the game that we saw in the game right now against OG as well, and we kind of just took advantage of that, and we could move around the map better than they could.
And it was just a long series in general. Games 2 and 3 were a lot longer games. Game 1 very quick, but it was so back and forth from both teams and kind of messy at times that it's difficult to place where both Fnatic and Splyce were coming out of the series.
Still inconsistent, I would say, but Splyce did manage to win. Today you guys did, or Saturday versus Rock at 2-0. Then Fnatic also closed it out versus OG 2-0, so definitely above the bottom tier, luckily. But for Fnatic, at least picking up a win is important. How do you think Broxa has done in that lineup, Sencux?
I think Broxa has really surprised me. He's been doing way better than I thought he would. He's been a bit in Challenger, and I thought he seemed like a decent jungler, but not like a jungler that would maybe fit in the LCS already, because he didn't have that much of a competitive experience. But I actually think he's been doing a really good job, and he was playing pretty well against us as well and styling on me. And yeah, I mean, today he did a great job on Rengar. A bit of a broken champ, but I'll give it to him.
He has looked better this week as well. And, you know, when you look at how all of these results reflect the standings, I think just such an important win for Splyce, for you guys against Fnatic. Almost gives you an easy playoff bye right now in those standings. They're 3 series wins above Vitality over in Group B, and that's a good distance as we're kind of cresting the end of cross-group play.
Yeah, we are going to take a look at those standings so we see where the other teams rank as well. A good point by you. Very important points picked up by Splyce, and we talked yesterday a bit with the guys, and they said, well, you know, Splyce, H2K and Unicorns of Love, Misfits, G2 Esports and Fnatic, it's pretty much a done deal almost for playoffs. It looks like there's not much that can change there.
I feel like this spring split kind of seems like the spring split last year, where we were in the bottom 4, and it was very obvious who was going to go to playoffs and who wasn't, and I think that's the case right now as well. I think maybe a team like Vitality can turn it around, but I don't believe that the 3 others can do it.
Still, though, at the end of the week, down at the bottom end of the table, Roccat, no series wins. Origin, still no game wins 5 weeks into the split. That is really painful for them. Really tough at the bottom. Super
tough. Origin in their series versus Fnatic. I want to say they did put some things on the table, but then Fnatic was floundering and it looked a bit better, but it's still doesn't look nearly enough to propel you up in those standings. So we'll see what happens. In any case, the EULCS returns the week after IEM Katowice. That will be on Thursday, March 2nd. And it kicks off with the Unicorns of Love versus Misfits. I am super hyped about this matchup. The Misfits, they crushed it this week as well. So
really hype matchup. Alongside that, you got H2K Fnatic as well. That day, again, like day one of this week, is going to be a really interesting set of matchups.
yeah, I was trying to remember who they absolutely took apart this week, but it's slipping my mind.
It was
on day one.
Vitality.
Vitality, yeah, that was it. Thank you guys for the help.
I mean, the Splyce versus Giants match is pretty hype
yes.
as well. I think that's the most hype match of the week.
Hey, week 7 you are facing G2, so
Return of the final from last bit.
yeah, there we go. But that's week 7 and week 6 indeed you will be going up against Giants. Now, as for us, we're going to talk over the state of the league as we head into the IEM Katowice break. So if you're joining us in client, hit up youtube.com/LolEsports for the full version of the post-game lobby. Well, the EULCS will be taking a break next week due to IEM Katowice, and we also have some news regarding the teams attending. EDG will not be going, and they will be replaced by Hong Kong Esports. I have to take a look at the groups as well. Now, we've had a couple of guests from these teams on the desk, Sencux, the previous days, and none of them wanted to, be like, oh, we're going to win. Even at G2, they're being very careful. But from the form of any of these teams, do you think one of them can win it?
The European?
Ones. Yeah, the European ones.
Yeah, probably G2. I think G2 and H2K would be the two teams I would look for in this tournament. I think Rock's Tigers will probably be up there as well, but if I remember correctly, the record in LCK is like...
It's not so great. Them and Kongdu are not amazingly high on the standings.
So I would say probably H2K and G2.
The one thing we got to look for H2K, of course, this graphic, it was breaking news that Hong Kong Esports came in, so it is not Edward Gaming that they are facing up against. So H2K, I mean, theoretically, could be an easier game against Hong Kong Esports. We don't really have the best read on where HKE are right now. A lot of the casters have been doing prep in the office, of course, looking for EDG as one of those top teams.
Unlucky.
Vedius has been watching so many VODs.
If you're watching, Betty, we're so sorry that happened, because he was really super invested in finding a lot about these teams. But you still guys will be doing a great job.
As much as I would have liked, a lot of the fans are saying, oh, let's just send Misfits, have the top 4 all there. I actually like that it's HKE going instead. It is meant to be an international competition,
yes.
and that's what we want to see when our top teams go over.
I mean, another European league would be nice as well, We have the IEM Katowice on the side and then EULCS, and we have a bit of both.
I have a bit of both, but you guys don't go, so you have a week. So what's the week looking like? Doubling down on practice? I know that, of course, the Giants game in the week after might not be the thing that you're that worried about, but then G2 after, so...
I mean, we don't really look that much about like what team we're going to play the next week. Right now, it's more about focusing on our own play, because it's been really sloppy the start of the split, and we're going to take one day extra off than usual, and then we're just going to practice even harder.
Slackers.
I mean, it was supposed to be even more, and then we thought, we're not doing that well, guys, so let's just keep it to the practice.
I want to dig a little deeper into scrims and practice coming up, because last split we always heard Splyce are great in scrims. We've heard it a little bit behind the scenes that scrims are still going well. I know a lot of teams like to be modest and don't want to say, yeah, we're winning really hard in scrims. How are scrims looking for Splyce right now? Because on stage we see you guys faltering a little bit some weeks.
I mean, obviously scrims means something, right? But in the end, it actually doesn't, because if you don't perform on stage, it's useless. It's basically useless. There's no point. So I think in the start weeks, it was the heaviest loss for us, because I think we were doing really good in scrims in the beginning, but as soon as we got on stage, we kind of didn't use the early pressure, get any early pressure, and we didn't really do much. And I think this week we've been trying to focus a lot on that and just making the right plays and do the same on stage as we do in scrims, and don't be scared of making mistakes, and just do it. If you do an aggressive play and it misses and it fails, then fine, we tried, But I feel like the start of the split, it was more mainly us not doing anything and then just letting the enemy do the first play, and then the game kind of just rolled over for the enemy. And that's why it's not that hard to play against the bottom teams, because they're not as good as taking that into advantage. And then our late game is still fine, but a team like H2K and GOL, they will take that advantage and they will end the game pretty much.
Yeah, you just said that the Unicorns of Love, maybe they're dwindling a bit because they had that head start in the beginning of the split, and you think that H2K might overtake them. So do you think that the spring split is enough time for Splyce to get to kind of the highest you can go?
It's hard to say where the like the ceiling is, but like where we came from last split and the start of Worlds, I think, yeah, we can. It's just, I don't think it's going to take a whole split to fix. It's just something we need to recognize, and I think we've done that now, and now it's something we're going to really focus on.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the teams around you have gone up in skill level because there's a clear divide between a lot of the teams? Do you think you stayed where you are, or do you think there are performance issues?
I think there's performance issues, and I think HGK was not that good in the what is it called, the regular split. Like in playoffs, they were good, and we had a really like close series against them. But I think we were just a lot better by then as well. And I think UL has grown a lot from their play, but they were pretty good in playoffs as well. So, I mean, I think in general we're just underperforming a bit, and that's the main reason. I don't think Europe as a whole has gone that much up in level.
Not that much up in level, you guys underperforming a bit, but we do see that there is a great divide between the top 2 in each group and then all the teams that are below them. And we also looked it up. The record of the top 4 teams versus the bottom 6 is 36-4. Now that is a huge difference, and I think it also shows in the games that we see between those teams, it isn't even close, and there's even HUK was toying a bit with their food the other day, and there aren't a lot of upsets at all.
There's not a lot of upsets. I think this is a very interesting one because it's now moving into a 2-group system. Makes things look a lot worse, perhaps, than they are.
Maybe, yeah.
Because, I mean, for some of the bottom teams, you look at like a Vitality, you look at a Giants who, theoretically, they're not at the same level of Rocket and Origin, where they're not picking up wins. But they don't have enough opponents around them to even look half decent against. They're playing G2 twice. They only get the opposite group once. So, yes, the bottom teams are struggling against the top, but the bottom teams don't have any bottom teams to play against, and that makes it look so much worse, and you end up kind of in doomsday scenarios where you're like, oh, we haven't won a game yet. Well, you've only been playing really the top teams.
Yeah, that is actually a good point. Anything to add to that?
No, I mean, it's true. Like, there's not as many series, even though I think that Rocket has a fair chance against Giants. I think that they're still fighting for the vacation spot, the EU vacation spot, and I think
is that what we're calling it?
And I think Vitality is just going to sit in that fourth. I don't think Origin is going to overtake them in this bit. So.
No, and maybe connected if you want it to be, turning to the European Challenger Series. Last Sunday, we saw the much-awaited clash between Paris Saint-Germain and Schalke 04. Stress, tell us about it.
Well, I really wanted to sit here and say it was the best series we've ever seen in Challenger. It was great. The 2 football teams played against each other, and it was amazing, but unfortunately, it was a complete blowout. PSG, they took a lead to start game 1, and then Schalke just bounced back, completely crushed them.
I'm not sure if I would say bounce back or PSG took the ball and just threw it out. I mean, that was one of the biggest throws I've ever seen. PSG started Baron, took a Jace 5-man shock blast and lost the game, lost the series from it. You can see Schalke firmly at the top of the standings. Fnatic Academy, after a really strong week 1, of course, they lost Broxer. Didn't look so great in week 2 either, and unfortunately week 3 is kind of going from bad to worse for them. We had some breaking news today on Twitter that Kikis, he's actually going to be sitting out this week's games for medical reasons. The team reported that Sjokz will be subbing in for the top lane, so of course our best wishes go over to Kikis, long-standing European player here. We hope everything's okay. For Fnatic Academy, it hasn't looked like the best week, and unfortunately, they're playing against Schalke. That is possibly the toughest matchup they have. Millennium take on Kinguin. Both of those teams kind of bouncing back in week 1, looking a little, in week 2, looking a bit stronger. So Millennium, Kinguin are off on potentially their route towards the
Stress, what's
playoffs.
happening with Paris Saint-Germain?
They do not live up to the hype.
Wait, who did they play first week?
First week, they actually played against Fnatic Academy with Broxer.
Yeah, so I still think that PSG should have good enough players on paper to make it back up, and I think it's pretty obvious that Schalke is a dominant team. Like the players they have on that team should really kind of win Challenger easily, I think.
It's not the end for PSG. If they win their last 3 series, they can still make it to playoffs. But of course, to do that, they have to get past 3 more teams. So remember, mark your calendars. It's tomorrow, 3 p.m. CET. We're going to be broadcasting Challenger. It's week 4 already. Week 3 already. Yeah, a lot of numbers.
A lot of numbers and more numbers. Remember, mark your calendars. On Thursday, March 2nd, the EULCS is back or will be back, kicking off with Unicorns of Love versus Misfits Assets. Splyce will be taking on Giants. Let's see. H2K Fnatic could be a very interesting matchup as well. And on the last day, we'll have Misfits Origin and Unicorns of Love rock at. Again, one of those days where you think that it's going to be pretty one-sided. So we will see what happens. Sencux, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy your week off practice week, or at least not with
week
the
of scrims.
Week of scrims. At least you don't have to be here on stage and perform. Well, thank you, Stress as well. And time for us to log off. Thank you. We'll see you all back here after IEM. Have a great Saturday night. Be careful. A wonderful week, and we'll see you soon.
My boys, chill out a bit, relax your body, and just focus on your breathing.
3-2 so far in kills. Flashes for flashes. Yarden is going to get a buster shot. Double kill from Tragedy before Yarden takes him out. Yarden's interrupted. Oh, but they're going to tag in and try to save his life. He goes down before they can even finish off the channel.
An uncomfortable past 25 minutes.
It really did, but at the end of the day, Splyce, they have just managed to seal the deal. 37.5, and GG to them. 1-0 on the series. Foxy didn't realize the jungler was right behind. He's going to have to shadow dash, but the leap Trashy says, you aren't going nowhere.
Go aggressive behind the tower. Here comes a curtain call.
They do open up on Maxlor. He flashes the second shot, but right into Sencux. He's got a shield on. He can stay alive, and Kabi says, no, you can't. Exhaust is on. Maybe he should now, as Foxy has the Stand United. Trashy tags in to take out Yarden.
They don't want a number 3 to this series. They're going to end the game.
GG, well played, and don't even lose a man at the last. Splyce take the 2-0 victory to move forward.
Max is gonna grab it. Tabs, he's on his lonesome. Jesus is gonna tag. Oh no, that's dirty. Fnatic grab another one. Nathan potentially trouble. Spear goes in. Deathfire touch. Oh, equalizer. That'll burn him down. Dash back, Mog gonna keep him safe. Brox wants to go forward. It's not quite enough damage. That's good for them. Fnatic
this
trying to get
from
something.
Origin?
Walking too far around. This is disaster. Broxa trying to keep it frisky. Flash forward. They want to keep the ball rolling. Satorius, what are you doing? First blood.
Good catch right now.
Caps, platform, body slam, old school combo, goes in, gets him in the end. Soaz, can he get in there? They're gonna have to take down Wisdom. He's stealthing up, they're trying to buy time. What can they do? OG, they want to get it. That's a double for Soaz. It's going lower. Fnatic, get it. Gift wrapped, hand delivered. OG, hand the Baron away. Now moving for more, now looking for more. Fnatic just trying to get some icing on the proverbial cake here as they're ready to close out. They're ready to make it a clean sweep. It's gonna be a 2-0 as OG go down once again in this match versus Fnatic.